is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast. Today, I have my first round draft grades from last night. Sorry, this is coming out a little bit later than I wanted it to. Just had the site that I used to make graphics was down for a long time, and then the recording that I had last night wasn't great, as I recorded it at like 2 a.m. So we're recording this now to get a better recording. Definitely, we had a really interesting draft last night. Some teams killed it, some teams didn't. Definitely some questionable moves in there, but I'm really excited to give you guys my first round draft grades from last night. There was definitely some picks I liked more than others, but starting off with the number one overall pick in Trayvon Walker, the edge from Georgia. I'm giving this pick a D+, and it's not because of the player necessarily. I think Trayvon Walker has all the tools you need to be a really good edge rusher at the next level. He's coming in there as a really good run defender from day one. He's a really freaky athlete, but I don't think he's as freaky as like Kayvon Thibodeaux was on tape. And then I just don't trust Jacksonville either. I mean, case in point, 2019 first round, they took Chaisson, and Chaisson hasn't necessarily worked out for them. So that's, I think, a case in point example of why not to trust Jacksonville with his pick. If I were them and I was taking edge rusher, I would have taken Kayvon Thibodeaux, but instead they go with Trayvon Walker here, and the grade is a D+. And moving on to the number 2 overall pick, the Detroit Lions took Aiden Hutchinson, the edge from Michigan. The grade for me is an A. Straight up, this is the pick that they should have made, which is why it's not an A+. A+ is reserved for, picks that either have really incredible value or it's a like outside the box thinking, and it's like a really great pick. But this is the pick they should have made. He's going to come in there. He's going to be a really big impact player for the Detroit Lions from day one. And he really fits Dan Campbell's kneecap biting mentality. I think he's going to go in there. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be a hustler. And I think this is a really good pick for the Detroit Lions, taking Aiden Hutchinson, number 2 overall. Then we have the Houston Texans at number 3 overall. And I called this one of my bold predictions, saying that Stingley Jr. would be a top 3 pick. And I give it a grade of an A-. Stingley was my number 2 corner. Really, it was 1A, 1B with him and Sauce Gardner. I think if you get 2019 Stingley, you have the best player in this class, no doubt about it. Stingley's probably got one of the highest upsides in this class, too. Fits really well in this Tampa 2 scheme, where he's going to be pressing a lot, getting in people's faces, and Lovie Smith likes to run some man in there as well. I think the reason why it's not any higher than an A- is because corner is kind of a weird position when it comes to value, because top 5, it always hasn't worked out, and there's an argument of, do you take a corner in the top 5? But I think in this case, Houston, they're looking for pieces, that fix their team in general, and Stingley Jr. can do that. The other question mark for me was culture fit, especially with like Stingley kind of shutting it down the last 2 seasons, in my opinion, after being on the greatest team ever for college football in 2019. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits in that culture. But, I think it's mainly just been injuries that have kind of slowed Stingley down. I've heard from a lot of people that he's like one of the best leaders ever, and he's kind of a quiet killer. He just comes into work, does his job, and goes home. So really going to be interesting to see Stingley Jr. at the next level. Then the number 4 overall pick, the New York Jets took Sauce Gardner, cornerback from Cincinnati. And again, I have the grade as an A-. Sauce is my number 1 corner. And the reason why it's not an A+ or an A is because of scheme fit for me personally. There's a real big question of whether Sauce is a good scheme fit here, especially since Saul is more of an off-coverage guy in terms of what he likes his corners to do. So I wonder if he's going to change that up for Sauce, because I thought Sauce needed to be like Stingley in a press scheme. whether that was cover 2 or just straight up man. So I'm really excited to see how Saleh's going to use him. I don't doubt that he can use him properly, as Saleh's one of the best defensive coaches in this game. But it was just an interesting scheme fit for me at number 4. And then, of course, like we talked about with Stingley, the question of, is a corner worth a top 5 pick? I certainly think these two are. It's just whether or not they're going to be used properly at the next level. And then we have the New York Giants at the number 5 overall pick, taking Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge from Oregon, A+. He was a top 5 player in my class, best edge rusher in the class for me. And the Giants really didn't screw up this draft. I mean, they really hit a home run. Thibodeau's going to come in there, and he's going to immediately change that defense. Just a freak of an athlete, man. He's gonna need more refinement in his moves, but Kayvon Thibodeau's a freaking animal, man. I mean, what a pick from the New York Giants. Then the Carolina Panthers at number 6 overall, they took Ikemefuna, the tackle from North Carolina State. I like Ikemefuna here. I think this means that Brady Christensen's moving into guard most likely, or they have Ikemefuna play a year at guard and then move him to tackle. But I think Ikemefuna was the best run blocker in this draft class for a tackle. Really just physical dude. I mean, he's going to put people on their ass consistently. But he is going to need probably a year to get up to speed with the pass protection, and get his technique right at the next level. The grade for me was an A. I didn't have it as an A+ because I felt like he's a weird scheme fit for Carolina, who's more of that college-style spread offense that I felt like Charles Cross was the best fit for. And had this been Cross, I think I would have had it as an A+, honestly. But Ikemefuna is a really, really good player. Carolina fans should be really happy with this pick. And then we go to the New York Giants at number 7 overall, stealing Evan Neal at 7, in my opinion. Grade as an A+, was my best tackle in the class, was my best player in the class, most well-rounded tackle. Don't think he's as good of a run blocker day 1 as Ikemefuna or pass blocker day 1 as Cross, but he's the best all-around version of both of them. And this dude's a freaking physical freak. I mean, this is a really, really good draft from the New York Giants, who get 2 of the best players in this entire draft class, and 2 players who, in my opinion, are the best at their position coming in day 1. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons at number 8 overall, taking Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. This was the first surprise pick for me, in my opinion. I thought they would go Burks or even Jamison Williams, who was a hometown guy, going to school at Alabama. This is a really interesting pick. The grade is a B, and it's not because I don't doubt Drake London's talent. I really love Drake London. He was my wide receiver 2 in this draft class. He's probably going to go in there and play the big slot for them, I would think. So that puts Auden Tate and Olamide Zaccheaus on the outside, which is an interesting fit. If they do put him on the outside, then I have questions, because Drake London's not a fast guy. I think he's truly like a 4.58, 4.6 guy. I think that you need a quarterback that's really good at throwing back shoulder fades and those 50-50 balls, and I don't know if Mariota's the best guy to do that, or if Mariota's going to even make it through the season because he's been hurt a lot. This is an interesting fit. It's going to be really interesting to see how Atlanta utilizes him, but I will say this. It gives them a size advantage because there's very few teams that can match up with London and Pitts just straight up. So that really gives Atlanta an advantage, but it's going to be interesting to see how they use him. Then Seattle Seahawks, the number 9 overall pick. They don't screw it up this time, because usually I've been very critical of Seattle. They've taken some really stupid guys in the first round, but they take Charles Cross here, the tackle from Mississippi State. The grade is an A. It's a pick they should have made. Really is an upgrade over Stone Forsythe, and Jake Lehman, I think, is the other guy they have there. So going to plug in at left tackle. Going to be an immediate upgrade. Really good pass protector right out the gate. This is a really good pick for Seattle to protect Drew Lock or whoever their quarterback is going to be next season. But I really like this pick from Seattle. Great start to their draft at number 9 overall. Then at number 10, The New York Jets go receiver in Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. The grade is an A for me. I think he's your instant Z there in New York. I don't think he's going to be the X because Corey Davis is there, but I think he's going to be really productive. I think he's going to be the go-to guy for Zach Wilson on third down. He's going to be your route runner. He's going to be probably their most productive player next season, leading them in probably receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I would not be surprised if he does all three of those things. And this gives Zach Wilson a chance. I mean, you're giving Zach Wilson another weapon, really good player at Ohio State. So I'm going to be really excited to see that connection between him and Zach Wilson at the next level. Then we have another surprise pick. We had a trade up here by the New Orleans Saints for Chris Olave, in which they gave up the 98th pick in the third round and the 120th pick in the fourth round to come up for Chris Olave. It was an interesting trade up, nonetheless. I'm surprised they went with Olave and not Jamison Williams, who's on the board, even though I do think Olave was the best scheme fit for the New Orleans Saints. It was just interesting that they went with him. It was a lot to give up, in my opinion, for Olave. It was a little early for him. That's why I have the grade at a B-. I don't doubt Olave's talent. I don't doubt that he can go in there and produce right away. Take the top off the defense, be a nice route runner for Jameis Winston. But it just, I didn't really know if they had to trade up to get him. I felt like you could have taken him at 16, even though I respect their decision to trade up and go get your guy. I have no problem with that, but I think just they might have given up a little bit too much, and I felt like they could have gotten him at 16. And we have the number 12 overall pick, Jamison Williams, to the Detroit Lions. This was an incredible move by Detroit. They traded up from 32 to 12, so they traded up 20 spots and got 46 back from Minnesota in the second round and gave up 34 and 66. So basically you move up 20 spots in the first round, you move back 12 spots in the second round, and then give up your third rounder for Jamison Williams. I would do this in a heartbeat. A-plus trade, A-plus grade for the pick. Jamison Williams, they don't have to rush him back at all. They can take his time with the rehab, make sure the ACL is completely ready to go before getting him out there, and you get Jared Goff, another premium weapon, and potentially Bryce Young or whoever they get next year, premium weapon at the receiver position. In terms of Minnesota here for this trade, I don't understand it. I think it's one of the worst trades I have ever seen. It just does not make any sense why Minnesota would trade back for this value. I mean, it's head-scratching for Minnesota here. And we move on to the number 13 overall pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, who traded up from 15 to 13 and gave up the 124th pick in the fourth round and 162nd and 166th picks in the fifth round. Coming up to get Jordan Davis, the interior defensive lineman from Georgia. I graded it as an A- because I personally felt like McDuffie should have been the pick here, but I understand why they went Jordan Davis. Fletcher Cox is getting really old, and Javon Hargrave's getting really old, and they're both not as good of run defenders as they are pass rushers, so you get Jordan Davis in here as your early down run defender to rotate them in, keep them fresh for pass rushing downs. You also have Milton Williams there. They took him the third round last year. That is a really athletic duo that is going to be in your interior defensive line. So Philly is really set up for the future there in their interior defensive line, having a super athletic duo in Jordan Davis and Milton Williams. And then we have the number 14th overall pick in the Baltimore Ravens, taking Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame. So Hamilton was the 13th player on my board, and this is where his value is pretty good. I have this as a B+ for the Baltimore Ravens. I think he's going to go in there and replace the Chuck Clark role. So I don't think he's going to be playing a lot of free safety because they brought in Marcus Williams for that reason over from New Orleans. But I'm still intrigued to see how Baltimore's going to use him. And I think this is a really good spot for Hamilton as he plays like a Raven on tape. I think he's going to be more in the box guarding tight ends, playing that strong safety role. But I'm still a little bit skeptical about how these teams are going to use him. So we'll see what Kyle Hamilton and how he's utilized at the next level. Then we have the Houston Texans, the number 15 overall pick. This was the trade back with the Philadelphia Eagles. They get Kenyan Green, guard from Texas A&M. Look, I don't dislike Kenyan Green at all. I think he's a really good player. I had him as a first to a second round grade. I just thought he would be like mid to late 20s is where his value was really good. This is probably the earliest I start thinking about Kenyan Green. It was a position of need for Houston. They beef up their O-line. This means that Titus Howard is probably going to play tackle. So it does beef off their offensive line. I think Kenyan Green does fit their scheme. But Zion Johnson was on the board. He was a much better player in my opinion. So I have this as a C+ pick grade here for the Houston Texans. And we have the Washington Commanders at the number 16th overall pick, taking Jahan Dotson, wide receiver, Penn State. Washington is interesting because I really like the Jahan Dotson pick, just as a pick itself, honestly. But you trade back from 11 to 16, getting a third and a fourth, and you miss out on Chris Olave, on Jamison Williams, and Kyle Hamilton, and I think they're all three better players, would have been better picks than Jahan Dotson, in my opinion. So with that in mind, I have the grade as a B-, even though I think Jahan Dotson's going to be really, really good at the next level. Freaky athlete, super big catch radius for a smaller guy, fast, quick, agile, really, really good route runner. I think that's probably his most underrated feature. Coming into the league, but they just missed out. I think they could have had better picks in this spot, but it's also an interesting pick having Dyami Brown on the roster, Curtis Samuel on the roster, and Terry McLaurin on the roster. So I like Dyami Brown a lot too. So I thought, even McDuffie here would have been a better pick, in my opinion, honestly, for the Washington Commanders. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers at the number 17 overall pick, taking my dude, Zion Johnson, guard from Boston College. I mean, it's an A+. It's an A frickin' plus, man. This, in my opinion, is one of the best value picks, if not the best pick in this draft. Zion Johnson doesn't have a weakness. He's going to go in there. He's going to be a Pro Bowler from day one at guard next to Rashawn Slater. They're probably going to kick Matt Filer out to right tackle. This is an excellent pick for the Los Angeles Chargers, who do not reach for a tackle. This is a really, really good pick for the Chargers, in my opinion. And they get one of the best players in the draft class. I had him as my number 4 player on my big board. So really good pick here from LA. I know it's a guard. I know it's not super valuable position, but nonetheless, it's a very good pick. Then we have the Tennessee Titans at the number 18th overall pick in a trade for Philly in which they gave up A.J. Brown, and Philly signed him to a 4-year, $107 million extension. Hell of a move by the Philadelphia Eagles, who really nailed this draft. I mean, Howie Roseman, ever since he drafted Jalen Reagor, has been on point, so that was a phenomenal trade by Howie Roseman. And the Titans got back the 18th overall pick, which is this pick, and the 101st overall pick in the 3rd round. So this pick, or in the 4th round. This pick for me was very interesting. This trade was very interesting. I felt like you shouldn't have given up A.J. Brown, but if they didn't want to pay him the kind of money, then, they're going to have to trade him. I felt like they should have given him the contract, and this was not the guy that I thought was going to get traded on draft night. I thought it was going to be Deebo Samuel for sure, but it was A.J. Brown instead. So that was a really, really interesting move there from the Tennessee Titans. But at the 18th overall pick, if you're going to replace A.J. Brown with a guy, it may as well be Traylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas. Was my number 1 receiver in the draft class. Had A.J. Brown as a comp. He's going to be a really, really good scheme fit. Going to be a huge run-after-catch threat from day one. I think he's going to go in there and be really productive for the Tennessee Titans. This is, in my opinion, is really good value for them. But the grade is still only an A- because you had to give up A.J. Brown for him. So that's going to bring the grade down a lot. So because of the fact that you had to, give up A.J. Brown, who's one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. Then we have the New Orleans Saints at the number 19 overall pick, taking Trevor Penning, tackle from Northern Iowa. This was another interesting pick for me. I figured the Saints would do this. This is probably around his sweet spot. The grade's a B for me because I think Penning's going to need a lot of work, but New Orleans is shown to be able to develop offensive linemen. I think Penning's going to need a lot of work in pass protection, but this was a need. This is probably around where they, were going to get him. New Orleans couldn't trade up for, Cross, so they take Penning instead, which I think is, a decent, compensation prize. I had him mocked here in my actual mock. I actually got both Saints mock picks right. They just traded up for Chris Olave instead of getting him there. So very interesting that, Penning and Olave went there, and I got those right. So, hey, shout out to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers are next at the number 20th overall pick, and they did not take Malik Willis. They took Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pittsburgh, which I thought was very interesting. Here's my 2 cents on this pick. I don't understand how you take Kenny Pickett when no quarterbacks are taken off the board, when I think Willis, Howell, Ritter, and Corral have higher upsides than Kenny Pickett. Now, on the bright side for Pittsburgh, I think he's the best quarterback in their room day one. I think he's probably going to start from day one. If not, he's going to learn behind Mitch Trubisky, and then they're going to prep him to be ready. And I think Pickett has a chance to be something here. I don't think he's going to be anything like super special, but I think he can be like a Kirk Cousins, like a Derek Carr type quarterback here in Pittsburgh. The grade for me is a C- because I just don't understand the rationale of taking somebody with a lower upside when there's every quarterback to choose from on the board. Now, he is a hometown kid, hometown hero, so I do like the story here for Kenny Pickett, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the Steelers do with him and what they develop with him. So we'll see how that turns out. Then we have the Kansas City Chiefs trading up to the number 21 overall pick. And they gave up the 94th pick in the 3rd round and the 121st pick in the 4th round. Actually, sorry, that pick, 101st pick for the Eagles was in the 3rd round, my bad. But they take Trent McDuffie here, the corner from Washington. This was a phenomenal pick in my opinion, phenomenal value. McDuffie was like just outside the top 10 on my board. The grade for me is an A+. Kansas City gets a phenomenal player from the University of Washington. They can play him in the slot. They can play him outside. They can play him at safety even. I think McDuffie is just an absolute baller coming out of Washington in the off-man scheme that Spagnuolo likes to run. So really phenomenal pick here from the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we have the Green Bay Packers at number 22 overall, who never fail to disappoint, taking linebacker Kwon Walker from Georgia. Oh, Packers fans, I'm so sorry. This is an F grade. I mean, Kwon Walker for me was like my linebacker 6 or 7, 3rd round grade. Just no excuse of why you would take Kwon Walker over a receiver, over an edge. Heck, even their 28th overall pick, Devonta Wyatt, would have been a better pick here than Kwon Walker. I don't get it, man. And the funny thing is that the Raiders with Mayock and Gruden had been known to take, reach for guys that played in the national championship game or at big schools, in the 1st round. And ironically, this is the pick from the Raiders, and the Packers did the exact same thing. So I just find that really funny. Look, Kwon Walker's a decent prospect. I mean, I think he's got nice physical tools. He's a good blitzer at the linebacker position, good in run defense. I think his coverage needs some work, but I don't think it's awful. I just think they had a better player at Georgia at the time to do it, Nakobe Dean, but I have no rationale for this pick from the Packers. Then we have the Buffalo Bills, who traded up from 25 to 23, giving up a 4th round pick, 130th overall, to take Kaiir Elam, the corner from Florida. I really like Kaiir Elam for the Bills here. Gives them an instant corner too. A lot of experience at Florida. Was a 3-year starter. Did not play as well last season, but I still really like Kylee Lam. Going to fit really well in this Buffalo defensive scheme in the press man coverage. Yeah, I think the grade is still a B because Andrew Booth Jr. was a higher player on my board, although I know he has flags about the medicals, but I'm not a medical professional and don't have any connections to teams, so I just go based off of my my evaluations. I still think Kylee Lam's a good player. Was a 1-2 guy for me, so this is probably around where I would have started to think about him. So still a good pickup here for the Bills. I just don't think it was the best player they could have taken on the board. And number 24 overall pick, we have Tyler Smith, the tackle from Tulsa, going to the Cowboys. Smith to me was like a round 2 player. I understand like the thinking for Dallas because Tyron Smith's getting older and has been, hit or miss on whether or not he stayed healthy over the last couple of years. You just lost Lyle Collins. And then he has flexibility at guard too, so Zach Martin's getting up there in age, and they lost Connor Williams. So I understand the rationale here for the Dallas Cowboys. I just think there was better players on the board, like Bernard Raymond, Daniel Faalele. Those guys would have been better picks in my opinion than Tyler Smith. So the grade for me is a C- because I thought it was a reach. Was it a player in need, though? That's why it's not in the Ds, but I think a C- is probably a fair grade. We have the Baltimore Ravens at the number 25 overall pick. So they traded with the Bills at 23, which was originally owned by the Arizona Cardinals because they traded Marquise Brown and the 100th overall pick in the 3rd round for number 23. Talking about the Marquise Brown trade, it's interesting because for one hand, I think it's just a bad trade for both teams because I don't understand why you give up Marquise Brown if you were the Ravens because he was your outside speed threat and was actually really broke out last season. My only guess would be they are, expecting a big year from Rashad Bateman, which, hey, I would be too because I really, really love Rashad Bateman. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player in this league. And then looking at the Cardinals, it's why would you give up a first-round pick for Marquise Brown? I think that's a little steep. I know you get a 3rd back, but that's a little steep in my opinion. But I do think Marquise Brown does fit really well in that offense. And Kyler Murray was his college quarterback, so they reunite there, and they already have chemistry. So I think that's a nice second option next to DeAndre Hopkins. But now getting to the number 25 overall pick, it was Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. So I really love Linderbaum as a prospect. I think he was 11th on my board. Finish out. But I don't understand the scheme fit at all. The Ravens are a power run football team, and Linderbaum was best in a wide zone offense. This just doesn't make any sense to me. The grade is still a B+ because the Ravens will figure out how to use him and how to best, hide him in this power offense scheme. But I just don't really understand the pick. I mean, in terms of like scheme fit and the match, it just isn't one. So I just don't really understand it. But nonetheless, Linderbaum's a good player, and I think the Ravens will find a way to utilize him. So, nonetheless, it's still a good pick, but I just, don't really understand the scheme fit match. Then we have the New York Jets at the number 26 overall pick, trading up with the Tennessee Titans from the 35th pick in the 2nd round to 26. They also got the 101st pick in the 3rd round, and they gave up the 69th pick in the 3rd round and the 163rd pick in the 5th round to come up and get Jermaine Johnson II, the edge from Florida State, who had buzz at the number 4 overall pick. So this is really good for the New York Jets. You address 3 needs. You get a corner, which you really needed in a Monds Gardner at 4. You get a receiver, which you also really needed at 10 in Garrett Wilson. And then you get Jermaine Johnson at 26, which was a phenomenal pick, phenomenal value. I had 1-2 grade on Jermaine Johnson. I thought he was going to go much, much earlier than this, but phenomenal value here for the Jets to just come up and snag him at 26. Grade is an A. I don't think it's an A+ because I think if this was a 2nd round pick, it would be an A+. This is around the value where I thought he was going to go. So really great pick there by the New York Jets, getting Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. He's going to come in, be a really nice edge defender on early downs. I don't know if he's going to play a ton as a pass rusher day one, but they will develop him behind Carl Lawson, behind John Franklin Myers, behind the other guys they have there. So I think this is a really good pick. Robert Saleh is going to know how to use him. It's going to be another chess piece on that defense for him. And then we have the number 27 overall pick, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars trading up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the 33rd overall pick to the 27th overall pick. And they also gave up a 4th rounder, which was 106th overall, and a 6th rounder, which was 180th overall, to select Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah, which I thought was kind of a head-scratching pick, to be honest. I don't understand why they cut Myles Jack in the offseason and then signed Foyesade Oluokun to big money, and then just to take Devin Lloyd in the first round. I mean, it just doesn't really make any sense. I felt like they should have just kept Myles Jack in the first place. But nonetheless, Devin Lloyd's a really nice player. I really, really like Devin Lloyd, and I'm excited to see him at the next level. However, the grade is a B- for me. I will say they didn't have to give up too much to get him, but I just don't. I felt like receiver would have been a better option. Offensive line maybe would have been a better option than taking Devin Lloyd at 27. But we'll see how it pans out for Jacksonville. And Green Bay, the number 28th overall pick is Devonta Wyatt, the interior defensive lineman from Georgia. I have this as a B grade. I don't think this was a bad pick for Green Bay at all. They get a guy that's going to come in on pass rush downs and be an impact next to Kenny Clark, where Jerron Reed plays those early downs. And the Packers aren't going to be able to pay everybody. So I do think that this is going to be, a move for the future. I don't remember the contract they gave Jerron Reed, but Kenny Clark already is a big deal. And they have a lot of players coming up soon, like Rashawn Gary's going to have to get a deal. Jair Alexander's going to have to get a deal. So to maintain some pass rush presence on the interior and in general, they take Devonta Wyatt. I think it's a good pick for the Green Bay Packers here at 28. And we have the New England Patriots at the number 29th overall pick. Oh boy. I was not happy with this pick last night, and I am not as mad with this pick right now, but I am still not very pleased. It was Cole Strange, the guard from Chattanooga. I will say I did forget to put him in my interior offensive lineman video, and that is my fault. He would have been my 3 or 4. He was pretty close with Parham. I thought he was a round 2 prospect. I think the good thing about this pick is Strange is one hell of an athlete. I know he played at a lower, level competition at UT Chattanooga, but New England has been able to get really great development out of their offensive linemen. Case in point, David Andrews, undrafted from Georgia. Case in point, Michael Onwenu, 6th-round pick in 2020 from Michigan. Both have turned into phenomenal players. So I do trust New England's coaching staff to get the most out of Cole Strange. I'm more upset at the fact that there was guys on the board that they, didn't take in Andrew Booth Jr., in Daxton Hill, in George Karloftis, even in Leo Chenal. So I think it was just more of the guys they let go on the board rather than the guy they took. The grade for me is a C+. I don't absolutely hate this pick. I just hate that they let other value go on the board than, and they took Strange instead of one of those guys that I named. Then we have the Kansas City Chiefs here at the number 30 overall pick, taking George Karloftis, the edge from Purdue. My number 3 edge. This was incredible value for me, in my opinion. Grade is an A+. Karloftis is coming in there, and he's going to be their best edge rusher from day one, and their best edge rusher for the next 5 years. Gives a guy to worry about other than Chris Jones, so that will free him up, give him more one-on-one opportunities. Hopefully, this will push Frank Clark to be a better player as well. Karloftis is a really high work ethic. Again, I don't think he has as high of a ceiling as some of these other guys, but he's a really high floor player, really good impact from day one. Really love this pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, stealing Karloftis at number 30 overall. And then we have the Cincinnati Bengals at number 31, taking Daxton Hill, safety from Michigan, who is a top 15 player on my board. I'm not questioning the player. I'm more questioning the fit, because So you have Chidobe Awuzie outside, Eli Apple outside corner, and then Mike Hilton inside. So Daxton Hill mainly played free safety and nickel, but he's not going to play nickel with Mike Hilton there. He might play outside corner for Eli Apple because he would be an upgrade over Eli Apple. He could play dime corner for them because I think he's better than Darius Phillips or anybody else they have there. Then you have Jesse Bates at free safety and Von Bell at strong. So it's really like, where is he going to play in year one? I know this is more of a future outlook pick with Jesse Bates being on the tag this year. They're probably not going to end up paying him with them taking Daxton Hill. But for me, it's just a question of where they're going to play him year one. I do like the forward thinking from Cincinnati, but it's just really strange timing for this pick. I have it as a B+, not because I don't doubt Daxton Hill's talent, more so I doubt Cincinnati's best ability to get the best out of him and where they're going to place him year one. And then we have the number 32 overall pick for the Minnesota Vikings in Lewis Cine, the safety from Georgia. And I'm going to be honest, I hate this pick. You could have taken a quarterback. You could have taken Andrew Booth Jr. You could have taken, I don't know. I mean, a receiver even would have been a better pick than Lewis Cine, who I had as a round 2-3 player. I thought he was one of the more overrated players in this draft class. The grade for me is a D. I did not like the value here from Minnesota, especially with the trade back. I felt like Kyle Hamilton at 12 would have been a better pick than Lewis Cine at 32 if you were going to take a safety anyways. But, man, I don't really understand Minnesota draft logic from today. I think they're one of the biggest losers of the draft so far. There's a lot that can turn it around, though, so we'll see how that goes. But, I did not like this pick for the Minnesota Vikings. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed draft night one, unless if you are a Packers fan. Sorry, Packers fans, or a Patriots fan like me, because I, definitely didn't enjoy it, but as much as I wanted to. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will have my final draft grades out for these teams next week sometime. I do have finals, so I will be taking care of that first and then the draft grades later. But I will have those out for you at some point. So thanks for watching, everybody, today. I hope you enjoyed day one of the draft. Enjoy days 2 and 3 with your family, friends. Rage at picks, gloat at picks, do whatever you need to do. But thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day, and peace.